Monstrous-looking creatures with wings flying all over the sky, dry branches shooting out of dried trees, the ground is split a bit with fire raging. Funny, right? Vermouth, the hero, and his 4 companions went to see the magic Count Helmid to subdue the Demon King. You might be wondering what happens next. They killed 3 of the 5 Demon Kings, and only 2 are left. Vermouth and his 4 companions sprang forward in action, swinging blades to kill the monstrous creatures with menacing looks on their faces. Vermouth the Great fought with aptness and swiftness, and blood splashed everywhere. Senya the Wise used her magic to destroy a lot of monsters, while Anis the Faithful gave everyone a blessing and used her blade to strike the monsters lurking behind her with a smile. The brave Moron swung his mighty axe, killing the monstrous creatures around him, while Hamel the Foolish ran forward, screaming at Vermouth, calling him a bastard, killing monsters in fury, obstructing his path. He was angry because Vermouth was going ahead of him again. He stared at Vermouth with bloodshot eyes. Hamel was always jealous of Vermouth. He always said Vermouth was his rival, but no one else thought the same. While Vermouth and his companions stood staring at the bloody field, Hamel spoke out that he thinks that they have cleared all the minions when he suddenly paused and screamed, sending Vermouth sprinting forward, pushing him out of the way, and taking the attack by a monstrous creature called Kahuk in place of Vermouth. Hamel fell limply to the ground. Vermouth killed the monster in anger while the others ran towards Hamel. As Senya screamed his name, they all surrounded Hamel where he lay on the ground. Vermouth then told him that he didn't have to die like that, but Hamel insisted that this was a more honorable death. Until the very last moment, he regretted his past for not being honest to his companions. Hamel asked Vermouth to kill the Demon King, making Vermouth swear in his name that he would massacre all the Demon Kings. Hamel asked Anis to pray for him. He told the Moron that he was the bravest warrior ever and confessed his love to Senya. Eugene stomped on the book when his past self confessed his love to Senya, saying he didn't say that. He expressed his anger, saying that no matter how many times he reads the book, he gets so triggered. He wondered which bastard wrote the children's book. If the author wasn't anonymous, he would have beaten the shite out of them right now. He also expressed his frustration in the book that everyone was called the Great, the Wise, the Faithful, and the Brave, while Hamel was called the Foolish. He wondered if the book was written by someone he had beaten 300 years ago. He also wondered why his companions didn't even consider protecting their companion's honor, but it wasn't their fault anyway. They never thought that Hamel would reincarnate with the memories of his past life. Funny enough, it turns out that Hamel the Fool died in the middle of subjugating the demon 300 years ago and reincarnated as one of Vermouth's descendants, Eugene Lionheart, 13 years old. Vermouth in Hamel's past life had various concubines other than his first wife, and although he didn't used to be the type to chase after women, maybe he changed his mind after getting old. Hamel understood that since Vermouth was a human, the only family that is considered a direct line of descendants are the children of the first wife. Even with the same last name, Lionheart, the Eugene family is considered an indirect branch, and families within the branch are forbidden from training their mana using real swords before the blood succession ritual. So Hamel had been using a wooden sword instead, but today will be the last day that he will use it. Hamel practiced fighting with an object with rage and destroying it. "You have broken it again," his father said. Eugene turned towards his father, who flexed his muscles. His father gaped at his muscles in shock. How is the body of a 13-year-old boy? He looked so manly, and to be honest, I think I would lose if I were to fight him hand in hand. His father wondered, "Eugene, he is my son, but sometimes I am afraid of him. He does not speak or act like a child. There is no innocence to be found in those scary eyes." Even though he lost his mother early in his childhood, he has never missed his dead mother, as his father wondered. The town blacksmith's skill is absolute trash. Selling a piece of trash like this for money should be punished, but father, you are too generous. Eugene told his father with a menacing look on his face. "I will give him a warning," his father said. On that note, the blood succession ritual is tomorrow, as his father said. In the blood succession ritual, a shitty Lionheart ritual held every 10 years. All children from ages 10 to 15 from direct lineage and branch gather at the head family's home for the blood succession ritual, and they all compete to see who is worthy of the last Thrugsnert. But unlike the branch families, the direct lineage is allowed to use real weapons and train their mana. In conclusion, They are just making sure that the branch families are unable to do better than the direct lineage, Eugene thought. Eugene has enough great talent that I cannot imagine him being my son if he had been born into the head family. Only if he took after me and wasn't talented, he wouldn't have to feel the discrepancy between reality and his talents, as his father thought with a sad look. Eugene saw the look on his father's face and asked him what the matter was, to which his father replied, "No, it's nothing." No, my ass, he is berating himself right now that he is not a good father, so Eugene thought with a frown, funny, right, the misunderstanding. Eugene stood in front of him and placed his hand on his shoulder. Never compete with the children of the head family. However talented you may be, you won't be a match to the main family kids that learned with real swords and trained mana. Eugene laughed and said he wouldn't, as if it were just a skills competition with a bunch of 10-year-olds. It's too tedious, and it makes me sigh sarcastically with a smirk on his face. In this blood succession ritual, there are 3 from the head family and 6 from the branch families. One of the 3 from the head family is the son of the first wife, and the other 2 are concubine twins. Aside from pretty high authority branch families, the rest are just losers. Let's see just how good the descendants of Vermouth the Great are, Eugene thought with a smirk on his face while he continued to practice with his wooden sword. The next day, as Eugene left the house in a carriage, his father waved him goodbye. Eugene stared outside the carriage in thought, recalling when he was Hamel in his past life. I thought I was a genius. I didn't have any difficulty learning new things even from when he was a child, and he was faster and improving than others, but... What do you bastard? What did you just say now? Hamel said, while Vermouth replied, it is a shame. You could be a lot stronger if you tried just a bit more. Hey, can't you see that I am swinging my sword to the best of my abilities right now? I am trying as much as I can. Don't think that just because you are a genius, others can be just like you, Hamel replied. I wasn't a genius. There was someone else other than me who was. Skilled with both magic and sword, he was nicknamed God of War and Master of All, Vermouth the Great. He used to be a duke in his homeland, the Kiel Empire, and then retired his position. He was praised as a warrior till the end, as were the other bastards. Senya the wise little wench took the position of a magic tower master as the youngest of all time in the mage kingdom of Arath. Annis the Faithful says that a woman with rotten insides is called a saintess in the holy empire of Uras. There even exists a scripture of her teachings. Moron the Brave was unbelievable, but that idiot established a kingdom named after him, so everyone had a good life until they died. So why is the Demon King still alive? He said he would defeat all the Demon Kings. God-damned Vermouth, the bastard where I died, was the Demon King's castle of incarceration. The promise Vermouth made with the Demon King after my death was that because of that promise, the war with the Demon Kings ended and the world saw peace, and that peace persists to this day, 300 years later. You must be nervous. A man spoke to Eugene. If you are already nervous, you are going to have a hard time at the Patriarch's house, Mr. Eugene. Thanks for your advice, Lord Gordon, Eugene replied. As the carriage is a place, from this point on it is the property of Lionheart. Ah, you don't need to prepare to get off now. It's still a long way to the Patriarch's mansion, Lord Gordon explained. It's not even your property. What are you so smug about? Eugene thought, looking at Lord Gordon's face. Isn't it inconvenient if it's this large? Eugene asks. There are several warp gates around, so it's okay, as Lord Gordon explained. Lord Gordon came down from the carriage when it stopped, bowed a bit beside the gate, and said welcome to the Patriarchs, Sir Eugene, while Eugene gazed at the gates with a frown on his face. Eugene Lionheart is brought into the palace with a welcome ceremony. He meets a certain man who acknowledges him and asks the man if any relatives have arrived, to which the man says that he's the first. Eugene was guided to the guest house, where he was given a personal maid who goes by the name Nina. He asked for her age, and she told him she was 16 years old and had just finished her training period. Eugene was filled with the thought of someone trying to cause problems for him. He asked Nina if she knew when the other family members would be arriving, and she said probably within the next 4 days at the latest. Eugene insisted that she take him to the training grounds. In the castle, a prince and a princess named Cyan and Seal stood in a corner gossiping about the arrival of Eugene and mocking him for being a country boy while laughing on their way to bully him. A boy glances at Seal from the windows of the castle, and she meets his eyes with a cold glare that sends the boy running away. Eugene, on the training grounds, impresses Nina with his skills and recalls his past life as Hamel and the training he had during those times. He also acknowledged the capability of his new body because of the lion's blood coursing through it. While there, he is met by Cyan and Seal, and Cyan proceeds to bully him while getting furious because Eugene called him an idiot. He tells Eugene to apologize, which he did immediately. Cyan was stunned and refused to accept it, telling him to bow down and apologize. Though Eugene refused because they are the same age and he considered them to be friends, Cyan clearly stated they weren't friends and he shouldn't get ahead of himself simply because he had the Lionheart name. Seal reminded Cyan about the carriage, and Cyan ordered Eugene to go and clean the carriage he came in. Eugene told Nina to do it instead since she's his maid, and Cyan got furious because Eugene ignored his orders. There and then, Cyan challenged Eugene to a duel. And Eugene looked at him with a smile of pity and told Cyan that he shouldn't use the word duel that easily and he should leave him alone, but Cyan, being a bully and wanting to fight, just got on Eugene's nerves, telling him that he's scared and he should bow to apologize. And still, Eugene refused to have the duel and also refused to apologize. This made Cyan more annoyed, and he disrespected Eugene and said he hadn't learned honor from his parents. Immediately, Eugene threw off his surprisingly heavy training gear. Cyan was shocked at how heavy it was, so shocked that he immediately regretted the challenge, but because his sister was there, he didn't want to ridicule himself, so he went on with it to regain his honor, so he said. Immediately, Cyan threw a red scarf on the floor. Eugene accepted the duel and struck Cyan with a single blow, rendering him immobile, and he also threw up due to where he received the damage, his stomach. Eugene looked at him with a rather gloomy expression and declared himself the winner, while Seal rushed to help her brother. Seal, with an angry tone, shouted at Eugene and accused him of being without honor and called him a coward, but Eugene justified himself and said, "What's so cowardly about it?" The duel starts as soon as the towel is thrown. It's his fault for letting his guard down. Seal acknowledged it but didn't want to accept that her brother lost, so she blamed him for training his mana, spiritual energy wielded by the Lionheart descendants, but Eugene told her that those in the Branch family aren't allowed to train their mama until after the blood succession ritual. Seal was stunned because, to her, without mana, no one could be able to pull off such an attack. The attack was so fast that even if Cyan had his guard up, he wouldn't see it coming. Just then Eugene awarded her with a complimenting insult and a smile on his face. Just then Cyan got up and started badmouthing Eugene again, calling him a coward, and Eugene just said both Cyan and his sister are twins considering they said the same thing, and he told Cyan to accept defeat since he's a direct descendant of the Lionheart family. But just then Eugene thought about the attack he pulled off and said maybe he should have held back a little bit, saying that if he did something like that to someone in the direct line, maybe he'd get punished. There and then Cyan's caretaker came rushing out. He is a knight, and he was put in charge of handling Cyan, so he saw the fight between them and rushed over. His name is Hizar. Immediately after Cyan saw him, he started crying and telling him about how he lost the duel to Eugene. Hizar then introduced himself to Eugene, and Eugene did the same. He asked Eugene what happened, and he told him that Cyan picked a fight with him while insulting his father, but Cyan denied it. Eugene then said that Cyan told him that he didn't learn honor from his father, thereby insulting both him and his father, and asked Hizar if that wasn't enough reason for him to accept the duel. Hizar said his reasons were valid, then took Cyan to get his wounds treated, and Seal, along with Hizar, bid Eugene farewell. Eugene is at the dining table when he is approached by Nina, his maid. He asks her if she has looked into the arrival of his relatives, to which she says yes and also tells him that Master Deacon, Hansen, and Jules are planning on arriving tomorrow at noon, and then young Masters Gargis and Desira are also planning on coming that evening through the warp gate. Eugene thought about their early arrivals and said maybe the blood succession ritual was starting soon. Then, since Eugene still remembered his past life as Hamel, he went outside and said, "Vermouth, I'm going to screw your descendants over, and I hope you don't feel bad or upset about it. It's not like I wanted to become one of your descendants. It's just a damn reunion."